What's up, y'all? It's Daniel the Shoemmelier. On Friday, September 20th, Saucony released their third collaboration with designer J-Tips. The first collaboration was the Grid 2000, Remember Who Fronted. The second collaboration was a two-piece of the Grid Shadow 2, What's the Occasion? And this third collaboration is also a two-piece, two different shoes that you can get the to-do list in the ProGrid Omni 9. As you can see, one is a purple and pink with some green and some blues, and the other is a tan and pink with some green and some turquoise blues. Count me as someone who really wasn't familiar with J-Tip's game because I really wasn't into fitted caps, so I didn't really understand who he was when I first saw that ostentatiously loud and perfect Grid 2000. But rest assured, once I got that shoe, I dove deep into finding out who J-Tips was and what he did besides design for Saucony with the hats and his rapping, and of course how he is just so on it in his social media game. Now, there's a lot of talk right now about what shoes are going to be the shoes of the year, the sneakers of the year. In fact, J-Tips and Saucony released an ad last week on the eve or maybe right around when they released the to-do list to the masses. The post read, "Last year was debatable, this year isn't." Obviously a nod or knock to last year, how some people were debating whether or not the What's the Occasion collaborations were in fact the sneaker of the year, or they belonged on the top 10 sneaker of the year. And count me as someone who definitely thought it was a top 5 shoe. I think the Grid 2000 was a top 3, if not the shoe of the year when it came out. And I am here to ask you and give you my opinions later. Do you think these J-Tips and Saucony ProGrid Omni 9 to-do list are the sneakers of the year so far? Now, obviously, if we're going to discuss whether this shoe belongs in the conversation for sneaker of the year, we should talk about some of the other shoes that are currently being considered among the masses, among the news blogs, among the social medias, and among myself. What other shoes out there are currently being considered as sneakers of the year? And I put together a list of 9 shoes because, yes, spoiler alert, I believe that the to-do list belongs on the list, the top 10 list of sneakers of the year. Where does it fall? Well, we'll find out as we go on. Now, some of these shoes you may agree with, some of them you may disagree with, and that's fine. That's how it all goes. So, of course, as we go through this list, let me know in the comment section down below whether you agree, whether you disagree, and of course, whether I left off shoes that you consider to be in contention for sneaker of the year. I can guarantee you I did. So let's put it on there. So I think a shoe that is going to be considered at the end will be the New Balance 1906L. That's right, the sneaker loafer, the slofer, the leaker, however you want to describe it. It was leaked and it came out, and I think it is going to be a sleeper for shoe of the year. It'll be on that list. I definitely believe so. Certainly over shoes that I left off. Remember, let me know what you think about that. I think that there is potential for the Bad Bunny and Adidas Originals Gazelle San Juan to be on that list. That baby blue sea ocean colorway is just so fantastic. It's so choice, and it is on arguably one of the top 2 shoe silhouettes from Adidas that are taking the world by storm. I think the Samba has lost a little steam, but the SL72 and the Gazelle, I think, are the top 2 silhouettes that are not basketball related, hint, hint, that Adidas has going for them. So I think we're going to see a little nod to Bad Bunny and Gazelle on there. I think we will see the Hidden New York and Asics Gel NYC. I think that's a clean colorway. It's so nice. The story behind it, everything that happens, it's a nice collaboration. It's oh so popular, and it's going for a little bit on resale. So of course you have to take that into account in some way, shape, or form. But I think so far, those 3 shoes are in the conversation for shoe of the year. And then a shoe that I've seen pretty much on all discussions of sneaker of the year, the Nina Chanel Abney and Nike Air Jordan 3. What a beautiful shoe. What a wonderful color of green with the orange, the story. She's been climbing on her collaborations, and I think this is her best so far. And she will be rewarded with a sneaker of the year nomination of sorts. It'll be on the top 10, maybe in some people's top 5 list. Right now, I don't have it in top 5, but that doesn't mean it can't be. It doesn't mean I don't want it to be. In fact, it may very well be at the end. But speaking of top 5, I think we're definitely going to see the Salehi Bembury and New Balance 1906R Lava. That shoe is just literal fire, pun intended. It is fantastic. It's a great silhouette. The colorway is amazing. And if you think resale and hype goes into deciding that, well, just check it out on resale sites and let me know what you think, and if you think that resale demands that this shoe be on the list. Another shoe that is also a New Balance 1906R that I believe has some hype and will be top 5, the Action Bronson and New Balance 1906R Rosewater. What a beautiful shoe. What a beautiful colorway. It all works in tandem. If you have the Lava by Salehi Bembury, then you have this Rosewater. It's fire and water. Look at that. It works out perfectly. It's amazing. Fantastic. Now, this shoe is by a company and a collaborator, not a designer, a collaborator, a curator, that many will say, why haven't any of his other shoes been on the list so far? And spoiler alert, there's not going to be any others on that. Why? Because I think the backward swoosh on a Jordan 1 low or a dunk is tired and played out. Now we're just doing random colorways to see what fits. We throw it at the wall and see what sticks. However, he did have a new silhouette that did cause quite a commotion and hype. It's the Travis Scott and Jordan Jumpman Jack. That will be on many people's top 5 lists at the end of the year, and I think it belongs there because it's a new silhouette. It has some new hype. We've yet to see other colorways to see how that goes in terms of hype. But regardless, I definitely think it's going to be something that draws a little bit more action in the hype-o-meter. So that's why I think it's going to be on people's top 5, much less the top 10 list at the end of the year. Now we get to the Futura and Nike SB Dunk Low. I think this shoe's lost a little steam as we've moved to the end of the year. I still think it is a top 5, if not top 10 sneaker of the year at the end. And depending on your allegiance or loyalty or obsession or love of SB Dunks, it may be higher, might be lower. I think this will be there. It's a great looking shoe. The collaboration is fantastic. It'll be there at the end. Where on the top 5 or top 10 remains to be seen, but it's definitely a shoe that you're going to find on many people's sneaker of the year list. And then we have the Adidas AE1. Yes, this shoe should be on everybody's sneaker of the year list, whether it's top 5, whether it's top 10, whether it's number 1. That remains to be seen. I leave that up to those of you who are making lists out there. But you can't deny the impact that the AE1 has had, not only for Adidas, but basketball shoes in general and sneakers in general. It's created a lot of hype. It's shown a light on Adidas, but also shown a light on other brands to go like, hey, you're dropping the ball on basketball. You used to be so ahead of the curve, and now you're not. And we have the Adidas AE1. That is a top 3 shoe of the year, without a doubt, in my book. Could be very well number 1. I'm not certain. But having said all of those things, those are 9 different shoes. I left a spot open for J-Tips because I do in fact think that not only should this shoe be on the top 10 list, pick your colorway, it doesn't really matter. Not only do I think it's a top 5 shoe, it's a top 3 shoe, and an argument can be made, and I'm very well about to make it. So far, this is the sneaker of the year, or these are the sneakers of the year, and I'll tell you why. It is a lifestyle shoe. It is a shoe that can be easily worn with so many things. The colorways, the textures, the materials, the storyline, everything about these 2 shoes screams sneaker of the year. Now, I know what you're saying. What? The AE1, that's got to be sneaker of the year. Correct. You can't get it. It's a basketball shoe, and it's hard to get right now. And I get that demand and all of these things increase, and that should be reason enough should be number 1. I don't know that it is strong enough to be the shoe of the year because we're talking about a silhouette, the collection of AE1s. Right now, we're talking about 2 different colorways of the same collaboration, the same silhouette. I think this takes that, and I'll give you another reason. I mentioned there is no Travis Scott Air Jordan 1 low with the reverse swoosh. You know what else there isn't? Any 4s. There's no industrial blue. There is no reimagined 4. You know why? Because there's nothing fresh and unique about those colorways. They're great. I have them both. I love them. I know you're saying, wait, they reworked it. Sure, but it's still the same shoe, right? They put leather on it. It's nicer. The fit's different. Correct. It's still the same shoe. And guess what? I'm going to say the same thing's going to happen to the black cement 3s. I know, just put your hate in the comment section down below. I don't think reimagining a retro is enough to make a shoe sneaker of the year because it didn't do anything different. It didn't do anything new. And I realize if we look at the 1906Rs, you're going to say they just changed the colorways. I don't think that's the same thing. I don't think it's the same thing. Look at Nina Chanel's 3. She changed so much about it. The 1906L, they made it a loafer. The Futura and the Dunk, like, I think that you can take a silhouette and mess with it and create a new version, and it's great. But if you take a shoe that was out 20 or 30 years ago and just make different materials and it's the same colorway and all that stuff? The Nike SB Jordan 4? Absolutely, without a doubt. The Reimagined 4 because it's black and red leather? The Industrial Blue? Black Cement 3s? But if there is a heavyweight contender who could potentially knock down J-Tips off of my list at the top of the sneaker of the year conversation, I think it might be the Jordan 1 High 85 with the Air Jordan on the side, not the wings. That is a beautiful shoe, ladies and gentlemen. It is a beautiful box. It is a beautiful presentation. Everything about that shoe is beautiful, and it is not necessarily just a retro of an older shoe. It's kind of a new shoe, right? And so I think if we go off of what I was saying, the guidelines for sneaker of the year, I think when it's all said and done, we're going to have a 3 sneaker brand battle for supremacy for sneaker of the year. I think we're going to have an Adidas battle, we're going to have a Nike battle, and we're going to have a Saucony battle due to J-Tips and his to-do list, ProGrid Omni 9. But if there is one little bit of extra credit that you could offer to Saucony and J-Tips to potentially put J-Tips over the top for sneaker of the year, it is this. We are debating whether a Saucony shoe should be a sneaker of the year. Not just for the first time, but for the third time in a row. This is 3 years in a row that we are discussing Saucony for a sneaker of the year. Nike, Jordan Brand, Adidas, New Balance. These are things that we have talked about before. Saucony is a shoe that we are talking about, and that is due to J-Tips. J-Tips in Saucony, Joe Freshgoods, Salehi Bembury, New Balance, Ronnie Fieg, Asics, Adidas, Jordan Brand, Jordan, Travis Scott. He's not a designer, he's a curator and a collaborator, but Travis Scott and Jordan. All those things, you associate them with those brands. J-Tips is leading Saucony into the sneaker of the year conversation 3 years in a row now. And while I think the Grid Azura 2000, remember who fronted, was the higher of the two so far, because I think the What's the Occasion, the Grid Shadow 2, in my book, just because I like louder and more in your face and bold, I think the Grid Azura 2000 is higher than this. But I think when you look at these right here, these Omni ProGrid 9, the two-piece that you have right here, not only do I think it is the stronger entry for sneaker of the year, I think I like these two more than the Grid Azura. Oh my gosh. And the Grid Azura was number 1. These are 1A and 1B. That's right. To me, 1A, 1B. The Grid Azura is number 3. And then the What's the Occasion are 4 and 5. But we're splitting hairs here. And that's not what this is about. But if you were curious about my rankings, it's the to-do list. It's the Grid Azura 2000, remember who fronted. And then it is What's the Occasion. But I think this is a top 3. I think right now, it is number 1. It's number 1. I don't see it dropping lower than 3rd by the end of the year. Seeing on what's the horizon, how unless some shoe just magically comes out and knocks us on our butt, this is a top 3, top 2, top 1 shoe of the year for me. What do you think? I left out so many. I told you why I left them out. And you may have your own guidelines, and you should have your own guidelines, but I'm curious what you think. Do you think the J-Tips and Saucony to-do list are a contender for sneaker of the year? Should they be top 10, top 5, top 3, top number 1? Right now, I got him at number 1. Sorry. He brought Saucony to the conversation, to the hype beast sneaker culture conversation. With that alone gives it some bonus points. And I think that alone at the end of the year may very well be the reason why the J-Tips and Saucony to-do list will be the sneaker of the year. If not top 3, certainly no lower than top 5. If they are lower than top 5 on your list, oh man, I'm not going to make any declarations or anything like the FSU guy, but I'll be upset. It's a top 5, top 3, top 1 shoe, definitely. So let me know what you think about my list. Let me know what I missed, why you think it deserved to be on there, why you think I'm full of S, all that stuff. Let me know if you think the J-Tips and Saucony to-do list should be in consideration for sneakers of the year. Obviously, I absolutely do. Right now, it's my number 1. Will it be dethroned? We will see in a month or 2 or 3. We only got a few months left in the year. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. So to all of you out there, wherever you are, thanks for watching. Stay tuned and just chill. Till the next episode.